What if Mario Kart did a crossover with Running Man? Welcome to DeathSprint 66. What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I've got something special because the team behind DeathSprint 66 reached out and asked if I wanted to go hands-on with a remote playtest, and of course, when you look at the gameplay, you know I'm down for something like this. This game is coming from Sumo Newcastle, who has a history of supporting games like Call of Duty Vanguard and doing full development on games like Hood, Outlaws, and Legends, but this game is nothing like either of those games. The thing that first caught my eye about DeathSprint 66 in particular is the aesthetic and look of the game. It's just oozing this cyberpunk synthwave dystopian look, and the underlying plot really drives all that home. The game takes place in the year 2066, and the Bachman Media Network is this giant media conglomerate that's grown through the years, and traditional entertainment has totally been thrown out the window after decades of war, climate change, famine, and people just trying to survive. But people always need something to watch, right? That's where DeathSprint 66 comes in. It's a game show where these people called clone jockeys go head-to-head to sprint, dodge, wall run, and jump through arenas and try to come out on top. Of course, you've got plenty of electric walls, lasers, and giant pits to dodge along the way before you actually make it to the finish line. One key thing to call out here is you are a clone jockey. As you're starting out, you're probably going to be dying. A lot. But the good news is the Bachman Media Network has a never-ending flow of clones to drop in and replace you in the race. In fact, if you die 5 times in the same round, you'll end up with a crash test dummy skin to really showcase that achievement to the rest of your match, because nothing beats some good public humiliation. Now, the flow of the gameplay feels good, but as you're watching, you might notice some technical issues and hiccups along the way. I was doing a remote play session with a PC on the other side of the world, so I assume a lot of that is the internet and latency between the two machines. Also, front and center top of the screen is pre-alpha build, so this is not a final version of the game. Even so, you can get a feel for what the gameplay is going to feel like in the final product, and I like the loop. Even so, once you understand the overall flow of the gameplay and the wall running mechanics in particular, it's easy to slip into this kind of free running mindset where you're bobbing and weaving through levels, dodging traps, and plowing through other racers to make it to the end. Of course, like any good Mario Kart style arcade racer, you've got a solid arsenal of power-ups to pick up along the way. It's the typical stuff where you break boxes and pick something up, does a little roulette, and boom, you're off to the races. Pun intended. You've got some of the standard stuff, like a Bullet Bill style bull power-up that speeds you through the map, and enemies to electric drones of light that act like red shells. But beyond that, you've got things like a shield power-up that'll keep you protected and increase pickup radius for new stuff. These power-ups bring that little bit of seasoning that it takes to switch up any kind of standard arcade racer, spicing up the gameplay and also throwing a wild card into the mix from a competitive perspective. Even if you think you've got first place locked down, someone could totally get a power-up and catapult themselves into the lead, and potentially knock you off the map entirely. We've got some solid customization options, and by no means is this on the same level of depth of like a Fallout character creator, and it does not need to be for this kind of game. The main customization options include picking different color palettes and suits, which kind of go hand in hand, and then what I believe are the in-game emote options. Now, I never saw these in the game, but I think that's what those do there in the middle. And then you've got your calling card design. Now, like I said, it's nothing that's super in-depth, but I absolutely love this older school feel for picking designs, especially for the calling cards, because it's almost like an old school Call of Duty, and I'm super nostalgic for this kind of thing. It's a simpler time, and I love this kind of approach. Now the big question, what does the future of this game look like? Because Sumo isn't doing a typical Battle Pass approach. In fact, there won't be a Battle Pass at launch at all, and there won't even be a cosmetic store where you can buy things. It's a totally different approach compared to most multiplayer games today that drop with a standard $10 Battle Pass or a store filled with skins. Instead, the team is launching DeathSprint 66 at a budget price point. The final price hasn't been decided yet, but it's going to be in that low-cost sweet spot for people to dive in and give the game a shot on a whim. And from there, they're going to be listening to fans to build out the experience. If people are vocal about wanting more maps or more modes or more customization options for their characters, the team is going to turn around and make that happen. After spending some time chatting with the team and having them walk us through the gameplay experience, you can tell there's a ton of passion going into this project. The team behind DeathSprint 66 is very focused on delivering a cool game, being fair to the audience, and listening to fan feedback to help shape the future of the game. And looking back over the last few years, most of the unique ideas and innovation that we've seen in games have come from the indie and AA space. Now, don't get me wrong, big AAA developers and publishers are still putting out some great games that people around the world continue to buy and enjoy. But when it comes to the more experimental stuff that tests new gameplay mechanics and tries new ideas, those smaller teams are the ones that are really cranking things up and putting out some cool stuff. As I'm recording this, the game doesn't have a specific release date, but the team is still aiming for late 2024 for the initial launch on PC. And much like the rest of the game, they're taking things one step at a time and landing a solid PC release and building up that fan base before looking at the larger long-term picture of bringing the game to other consoles. Now I'll say, I played it with an Xbox controller, felt good on an Xbox controller, so you never know what the future holds. I'll end this with a totally uncut look at a round of gameplay so you guys can see what the experience is going to be like. But let me know what you think about the game down below, and be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video. And hey, if you're new here, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop, and I'll catch you on the next one. Enjoy.